So to expose, we're going to take our screen that has our film taped down. Once again, this is done in a light, safe environment. We're just going to set it on the stand like so. Then we're going to take our glass and we are going to make sure, first of all, that our film is properly taped down so it's stuck against the screen. If your film is not taped to your screen, you're going to get what's called light reflection. Like if you have bubbles in your film, or if your film's up a little bit, the light is going to bounce around between your black film and your screen, and it's going to give you a blurry image. You want to make sure that it's flat as possible. That's why this system can expose very high detail, because the higher detail you get, the more positive pressure you have to have, otherwise it won't expose. Because we're not using pressure, we're just setting a sheet of glass with a little bit of gravity on top of that, we can't really use this to expose high detail stuff. For that, you would definitely need a UV automatic exposure unit or some type of vacuum top exposure unit, which we're going to show next. So on this one, you just take the glass, make sure that it's clean, free of dust, clean of fingerprints, and set it on top of our image area to hold it down and protect it. The glass also protects a little bit from the heat. And we're going to make sure that our image is also centered. So you don't want, if you're exposing this end of the screen, you don't want your image to be all the way in the corner. You want it to be in the center of your light. So once it's all set up, we simply plug in our light and let expose on, this is a 110 mesh screen, so we're going to let this expose for about 12.5 minutes. Just plug on your light, start your timer if you're going to start your timer, and then expose for 12.5 to 13 minutes using this 110 mesh screen and this exposure system. Once it's exposed, come unplug and then go to your sink directly from this and wash it out. Right now we're going to show the exposure process using our automated UV exposure unit. Now this unit is 25 by 36 is our large one, has 6 high output UV ray bulbs in that. Now it also has a timer on it that you can set your exposure time. Once again, we still recommend using the dual cure emulsion with this exposure unit. However, you can use the pre-sensitized emulsion with the exposure unit, but still, unless you're starting to expose over 10 screens a day, you definitely want to use the dual cure emulsion with this unit. Now, basic exposure times for this unit, and then we're going to show you how to set it up, but the basic exposure times are basically with your 110 mesh, you're going to want to expose, when you get this unit, when it's new, you expose the 110 mesh for about 5 minutes even. Now as this unit gets old, the UV rays will actually start to decrease in the bulbs. The bulbs will get old. It's like a tanning bed, same type of bulbs. You know, when you have a new tanning bed, the bulbs are really hot and you would get burned. The same thing with the exposure process and the UV bulbs that are in this unit. Now, as the unit gets older, you're going to increase your exposure time ever so slightly so you compensate for those bulbs getting less bright. Now, if this is a couple months old, you're probably going to be exposing 110 mesh screens at about 5 minutes 30 seconds. Okay, so you want to keep that into consideration. As it gets older, you just increase your exposure time as you start to see your results decline. Another thing is that, as we talked about before, the different types of meshes hold different amounts of emulsion. So the higher meshes, like a 230 or a 305, you're going to decrease your exposure time ever so slightly for those. Like a 230 mesh, you'd probably want to expose at 4 minutes 50 seconds or 4 minutes 45 seconds. A 305 mesh, probably about 4 minutes 40 seconds to 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Once again, if this unit is older, you're going to increase that time a little bit. Now, if you're using an 81 mesh screen to do some glitter printing, or if you're using a 60 mesh screen, that holds a lot more emulsion than the 110 mesh. So that exposure time is going to go up. So like an 81 mesh screen exposing on this unit, you're going to be exposing it for actually about 7 minutes. A 60 mesh screen, probably about 7.5 to 8 minutes. So if you have any questions or any concerns about what type of emulsion you're using, how long to expose a screen for with this unit or with one of our units, please give us a call and we'll help you out with that. Now we're going to show how to set the unit up properly for proper exposure. Now this screen isn't coated with emulsion because it's just going to be used for demonstration purposes. You're going to want to tape your artwork to the bottom of the screen. put it down flat on the unit. You also want to make sure the unit glass is very, very clean, so you want to spray that off with a spray away glass cleaner. Once it's flat on the unit, all the exposure units come with a piece of foam. Now you're going to want to cut your foam with like a scissors or like an X-Acto knife, some type of knife, so it fits the inner dimensions of your screen. You want to place it in there fairly snug. Then you're going to want to create a flat board or a piece of metal to sit on top of this foam, so it gives you a place to put some weight down. Once that board's there, you're going to want to put about 25-30 pounds of pressure. So we're using gallon jugs of ink and water. And you're going to want to distribute that pressure evenly. Once all the weight is in place on top of the board, what that's going to do is going to evenly distribute the weight. The foam is going to take the weight and evenly distribute it throughout the screen. And it's going to take the weight, pressing the foam into the screen mesh, which is into the film, which is on top of the glass. It's going to give that a very, very tight layer, which is going to give you no light refraction between the film and the screen, which is going to give you the ability to do halftone images. It's going to give you the ability to do very, very fine detail work, and give you the ability to make very, very nice, clean cut screens that have very, very crisp edges. One thing that we've done, and that you might want to do to make life a little bit easier, is we just made a basic lid and put a handle on it and just cut it out the size of the film, so that way we can come and pick it up if we need to. As you can see, this exposure unit is fairly easy to set up. It's also going to give you the effects and same results. It's a vacuum exposure unit for about 1/4 of the cost. So now that you know how to set it up, we're going to go ahead and expose the screen using this unit. Okay, once our film is taped to our screen, we're going to come and put that face down on the exposure unit. Then we're going to take our lid, simply put it inside the screen, and put the weight evenly distributed on top of the lid. You want to do this to make sure that you have that good positive contact. Then once that's done, we're just going to come put our timer to 5 minutes, and then we're going to let expose. Since this is an automated unit, once the timer is run out, it's going to automatically shut the unit off. Once that's done, we're going to go ahead and wash the screen out, which we will show next.